Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Unorthodox Otaku Guy. We're going to be doing an unboxing of the ever so expensive and awesome re-release and redesign of Guts Berserker Armor version. This is the repaint Skull Edition. So stay tuned, let's check it out. Alright guys, welcome back. Let's get straight into unboxing this guy because there's a little bit of happiness and controversy around this character's release. And a lot of talk in the pages about how some people are extremely happy with him, but also some are really upset with him. And it's actually been already notified in a release about the unhappiness about the paint job that was done on the sword. So let's see how bad this is, because apparently Good Smile is stepping in and replacing these swords. And it's already being handled also through Ami that people who have purchased this figure will automatically be getting a replacement for this sword. So I will need to be doing a thing for it probably myself too to see how upset I am with the look of this sword, because you can actually even see it through the window. It does not look like anything like in the prototype for the shots for this figure, which is slightly upsetting. But anyways, let's get into opening him up, because apparently it's the same thing for his armor, but some people are happy with the armor too. So I'll give you my opinion on that as well. Alright, so looking over the box, this is a very fat box. This is a very big one. Custom size Figma box for him, and it has a lot of stuff included. We have no authenticity sticker. This was purchased straight from Good Smile Company's online shop, I will say. They would do a good job packing this thing, so this box is mint. Okay, I lied. It does have some divot here, but I'm not a fiend about the boxes. Anyways, so yeah, there's no authenticity sticker there, so be on the leery. It's just one of those things I want to point out. If you're looking for a video to reference for an authentic one, straight from the source, and need something to compare it to. Okay, let's open up and check out what's inside. Yeah, you guys probably know by now, bootlegs and Figma suck. Alright, so we got a very large figure box to open up here. Let's get right into it, because we probably have a lot to look at. Okay, so we have an upper part of the cape part, as well as another one. Two parts there. We do have the fabled sword that we have a lot of complaints online about, and the paint looks, to be honest, like crap. Now the center looks good. All right, it does have a nice coat to it, and like it's nice as ripple, like rough, edgy. But the part where it's painted on the silver portion looks quite frankly like crap. What's cool is we do have a little chain here on the one portion of the sword, which is a real chain link. Really cool. We do have this little hang-off piece, which is kind of like a piece of fabric or something. We do have the pull-off version on the end, so we can easily put it onto his hand. That's one of those things that was introduced over time. I'm very grateful for that design, because it makes so much easier to work with when you're trying to put it onto a character's hands. In the past, you had to fight it. Anyways, we have a little ghost child. Okay, kind of clear through, and he hangs on the back of Guts. This is pretty cool. Now we have swappable heads with different forms of armor, which is really, really cool. Okay, so this one has a nice jagged row of teeth, an articulated jaw. Looks really, really cool. I love the way this looks. Now this is an actual head part, so it has its own neck pin and everything already put into it. We have another one too, which is kind of like a half jaw. It's missing its lower portion of its jaw. Okay, very cool. Same thing too, it has a neck pin in it. All right, let's get a plastic bag out. We have all the hand parts. Now I'll tell you right now, we have a ton of hands. I don't even need to review that at that point when it comes to hands. Big thumbs up. Thank you so much. I always am serious about my heads and my hands. So I can already give this figure a very, very high point. Alright, so let's get into Guts himself. Now, I will say, just pulling him out in first impressions, he looks fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Because I'll put up a comparison photo right here. This is the promotional shot from the Good Smile site. Now, it is slightly disappointing that the armor is not going to look like that, and it looks like this. But it doesn't look bad. Because someone even was saying in a lot of the groups too, especially in the group chat that we have about figures and whatnot, they were even saying that the armor does look really, really good. And I have to actually agree with them. The armor looks absolutely fantastic. And I'll be quite frank, I have not seen Beserk in a long time since I was young. So I don't remember enough about Beserk. It's one of those series I have to go back to. And it's one of the series that got left behind when I was younger that I didn't rewatch. Kind of like in the era that I rewatched, going through my like Outlaw Star, my Ghost in the Shell and whatnot. I rewatched all those, refreshed all those in my memory, and they've been better in my adult memory. While Beserk is definitely one of those ones that have been left behind. So I do owe this series a rewatch for sure, especially with all the figures they've been releasing for it. Like, there's a lot of figures of Beserk figures now. From the armored repaint here, we have the original Guts that got a redo as well, which was absolutely really, really good. We have the Griffin one coming up. We had Fermento and the other Titty Chick one, whatever. There's just a wonderful amount of Figmas that came out for it. So I honestly need to get on this because one of my biggest intent was, besides the fact that Guts is just an awesome character, because we got this nice skull helmet that's on him right here, and you can see his head underneath. The fact that I can swap heads on this is one of the goals here. There's another one of the neck parts here for his armor. I can use this as a absolutely badass body swap too, for doing some really cool shots. This armor is worth the purchase alone in terms of how cool this looks. Like, this looks literally like a badass villain type armor suit, or just some cool hero. So this will be used for some wonderful body swap shots, which is going to be cool. But otherwise, in general, for Guts, this is really, really awesome. So far, when it comes to the whole scheme of things, where there's disappointment from Good Smile Company, especially with all their tactics they've been doing recently that are kind of scummy. Man, this one's kind of hard to get seated. Okay, there we go. And I'll just redo the next surround piece. Jeez. Okay, it's kind of hard to get the head in there. But we got it. Okay. So, anyways, what was I saying about this? Because I kind of got hung up on the head there. Head's a little hard to get in there. It's got a really deep neck area. But anyways, Good Smile's recent scummy tactics of bait and switching. They've been having some serious prototype type showing off of what you're buying, and you're going to purchase that. You're pre-ordering those type of figures for what you're seeing, and then what you're actually getting is totally different. And they just throw up this little, little fine print, basically saying they can get away with giving you whatever they want, even though you pre-ordered this. And that's bait and switch. You're baiting you with this promise of this type of character right here, and then basically having a fine print saying, well, it's not exactly what you're buying. You can get whatever the fuck we throw at you. You give us your money anyway. We're Good Smile. We can get away with it. That's inflated the ego problem because Figma has gotten so big. And this is the same case scenario for their Nendroid series, but this is more prominent of a Figma problem. And it is extremely problematic due to the fact that Figma does make some of the best action figures. I literally cannot stress this the most. They definitely do make some of the best action figures ever freaking made. And it still holds strong even with their QC bullcrap. But they have selective QC depending on who makes their figures or whatnot. I know whoever takes care of their Tomy Tech line or whatever, they suck. They handle literally Tomy Techs, but apparently they've also been the ones to take care of the Konosuba figures. So for the Konosuba figures, they've been hit and miss. Especially depending on which ones you get. Like individual figures can be hit and miss too. Like my Aqua was good, but there's a lot of people's Aquas that were terrible. And then my Megumin was mixed, and some people's were awful, and some people's were fine. So far, I've been lucky on my Konosubas for the most part, and I even have a backup Megumin even just in case something happens because her parts are so fragile. Now, apparently, people are saying even the Konosubas, like Kazuma, was okay. There's still some small issues, but otherwise, it seems like they're getting a little better. Maybe the word is getting to them. I don't know. We'll see. Especially because we got Darkness coming up soon. She finally got a painted prototype. Anyways, how that goes back and relates to this is the fact that you had this really badass painted, bloodied armor, and there's not a drop of blood on his armor. Now, I will say, it still looks freaking amazing. Like, I cannot stress enough how cool his articulated armor looks. Like, look at, you even have great range of motion on his knee there, even though he's wearing armor, and he's got this floating kneecap type design to fill the gap. So he's hiding these gaudy knee parts with armor while having great articulation. Big thumbs up. The foot here, despite being armor, it's a very normal foot, so it has basic articulation, and it still has toe movement. Very cool. We do have limitations of leg spread at the hips due to the fact that we have these armor pieces on the side that kind of are like a flared design. Now, they are slightly flexible. Don't force it. You're pushing your luck. When it comes to going back, you have a similar issue with the thighs at the back part of them where we've got the glutes. We have these spiked drop pouches that are hindering performance of legs going back at the thighs, but we have great articulation at the knee to help compensate just a little bit. When it comes to forward leg movement, we do have decent range of motion. It's not great, but it's decent. If you want to, you can rotate the leg a little bit at an angle, and you can get the full stretch of a forward leg movement. So give or take, it could be actually just fine. So that's really cool. So if you want to have them doing like, you know, the boot kick type there, you can get the range of motion. All right. It's just, you're going to have to work with it just a little bit. We don't have extendo joints, it looks like. So we aren't getting the extra articulation that could help here. If you don't know about those, they're a little more of a recent thing I've noticed in the last generation of Figmas, where the joints can come out a little bit and extend. Like, did his shoulder just do it? Can't tell. Nah. Okay, it didn't. So he does not have extension joints on him. They're very true to the last gen. Shoulder going up, trying to move his shoulders. We do have a lot of restrictions due to heavy armor, but elbow movement is really good. We just can't lift those shoulders very well. He's got a lot of armor blocking. So he can get his arms up to a decent amount, but they are hindered. So if we get his arm up like that, rotate up like that, yep, we can get range of motion is pretty decent in our rotation manner, but going out is kind of hard. We got a lot of armor in the way. I mean, otherwise, for what he is, his articulation is not bad for how heavy his armor is. This is pretty heavy armor. And then we have torso rotation. We got decent lean and rotate for this. So, I mean, again, for like for what he is and how heavy armor he is, this is a good articulation for how he's designed. So don't freak out too bad that he does have some hindrances. They're understandable. Could be worse. Definitely could be worse. So his articulation is kind of, I'll give it like a mixed. He definitely has some range of motion issues. Like I do have an issue with the back of his head looking up. It's hitting the back of his skull piece. You can look down, but his face is kind of like muffling into his little chest armor piece thing he's got going on there. So expect him to be a stiff character, but with some decencies to him in range of motion. Especially because we got some sweet swappable parts here that really change up how things look. Now, onto the sword, I will show you. It's not going to show up the best on my camera here at the moment, even though it's a high quality camera. It's just the fact that I am a little farther away. I could do some macro shots, but you'll see plenty of it online. The sword is painted quite poorly. From a distance, it's not that bad. That's the thing. You're not going to be looking at these things at a distance, really. You're going to be looking at these things up close. They're small figures. So this paint job is inexcusable for how they're advertising that. The armor can get away with because that armor looks pretty damn badass. It's not what we were expecting, because we were expecting this really gritty, bloody armor. But when it comes to the sword that's bloodied up, they did the bloody sword, and it looks like someone took some... You know, it looks like someone dipped their fingers in some fake blood and just like... And they were like, bellissimo! Marvelous. Yeah, no, that's crap. So that's the sword. Thankfully, it looks like they're addressing the issue and replacing it. So I will be contacting Good Smile to get my replacement. I'll actually probably do a video when it comes in and do a comparison video of it, of the before and after. So hope for the best. Hopefully I get a good response from this one, and because the previous issues I've ever had with Good Smile, they have one time given me the middle finger, and the other time they kept sending me the wrong damn part, and I gave up. Two of the case scenarios were Kasumi from Dead or Alive. Her neck was defective, and the neck part would not go into the socket right, and when I finally got into the socket, it was super loose. And they basically said, that's working as intended, and told me to go fuck myself. That is not how you do customer service. I'm sorry, that neck part was not working properly. So I did my best. I tried to Dremel the crap out of it, and then added nail polish and try to make it work. These are high-end purchased figures, not model kits. I will say that again about Figma. These are high-end figures that you're spending a lot of money on to be finished. These are not modeled kits. So, fuck you, Good Smile. Alright. Anyways, for Hinata, on my Nendroid, I had two of one hand and one of the hands was missing. And I kept showing them what part was missing and trying to get it replaced. And I worked with them on numerous times to try to get the correct hand. They kept sending the same damn part. I have 3 arms. Excuse me. I have 3 arms of the same arm. They sent the arm for some reason. And then the hand that was for that part, I have 3 of those hands now that are not related to the hands that I have an issue with. So, Good Smile's like service department is lacking. And I know it was hilarious after I had that issue too. They were hiring for trying to fix their service department or whatever. So hopefully it's fixed. Anyways, back to the figure at hand, and not the ranting of that. That because it is related. I'm hoping that they fix the issue with the sword, and I finally have maybe 3rd time's the charm. Maybe I have some good relation with Good Smile Company. And it pisses me off is I buy a lot of Figmas. I have a bunch here I still have to open, and I have a wall of them up there. So, get your shit together, Good Smile. You're gonna make me stop buying your shit and start buying scales. And I don't want to do that because they're big. And it's not a money issue either, because Figmas are getting on that price scale. They're close enough to buying a damn scale figure. Anyways, holy crap. How excited am I for this figure right now? So we have what looks like a little bit of an old style, because this is like a repaint of an old figure. So they're using a little bit of an old style here. They have the older style hands. Oh my god, they're stiff. Okay. Where they have the hand peg in the hand still. Because newer ones have a wrist pin where it plugs into the forearm, and then you have the hand that goes on the wrist pin. So this one has basically the wrist pin built into each hand, and that creates some extra work they have to do. They got to put one on each one, and on top of that, it's a little bit more. But the only thing is, I kind of like this design too. Yeah, it sucks because the only thing is, if this breaks, you don't have an easy swappable part. You actually literally have to repair this somehow, which sucks. So that is the downfall. But when you're articulating the wrists, you don't have the hand falling off as easy. I've noticed with wrist pins, there is a pro of the fact that it's very more serviceable. It's much easier to replace a wrist pin. But the thing is, I've had hands fall off much easier on wrist pins than I do on these type of hands. So there's definitely some pros and cons of having the wrist pin built into the hand versus having a wrist pin that goes from the hand and the forearm and it's an independent part. Give or take as it is. But this is an old style. There is a lot of hands included with this bundle. So he has 2 fists on his character at the moment. And they have given us, 12 alternatives? There's 2 different racks here. And being them highly detailed in terms of finger armored and like gauntlet style, to, like there's a ton you can work with, and they're blackened with a little bit of silver wearing type paint look, just a little bit, so they don't look like just like a straight one color. So there is some detail in these. Fantastic job on them. Very, very much a good job on that. So this figure has one last piece to it. I'm sorry this is taking a little bit longer. It's mostly my rant's fault, so I apologize. Hopefully you're still hanging in there and listening to me and not totally mad. We have a solid cape. Now, this is one of those things, like, it looks really cool. It's got a wavy effect and everything, but as you can see, it is hard plastic. So it is kind of lame. And I know there's already people that are making custom capes, and what's kind of sucks is because the thing is, the other Guts came with a cloth cape. It wasn't super high detailed, but it was a cloth cape. They have opted for a plastic version. I don't know why. I actually, to be honest, don't remember if the original one was like this, but this sucks. This is not even flexible. Like, if I move this, this will snap. So I will probably be buying him a custom cape or making one, either or. I'm not the greatest at making fabric stuff, so maybe I'll buy one because I've seen some really cool ones. But maybe I'll take a dab at, because it's just black cloth. It might be cool to get some terry cloth or something like that, or something similar. Just tatter the crap out of the edges and then give them a little a little tie around the front and call it a day. Because this is huge, so it's going to be obnoxious on the shelf, where a cloth cape's going to drape better. But also, this is kind of fragile. This is not the typical rubbery plastic. This is that cheap plastic that's very brittle, that I'm not a fan of. So there's my negative. I can throw right there. This is more tolerable than that, even though this looks like literally someone smudged fake blood fingers all over it. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, look at it looks like fingerprints. Focus. Yeah, it looks like fingerprints. Not even kidding. It's just some little sweatshop worker was all like, I could probably look at some fingerprints in there if I put this up to the light. I swear. It's ridiculous. If I find a fingerprint on that, I will die laughing. It looks just like it. Anyways, yeah. I don't even know how to put this kid on here. Is he going on the cape? Oh, don't tell me he goes on the cape. Oh, he goes on the cape. Alright, well, I'll have to figure that out once I get the cloth cape. Maybe I'll make a spot for him to chill or something. That sucks. Anyways, this thing sucks. I'm not a fan of the plastic. Otherwise, the character itself, I'm going to just wrap this up real quick so I'm not lingering on anymore. Typical stand bag. We have the sword, which we should be getting a replacement for all of us, no matter what. And that's probably the easiest route for them to do, because I'm going to tell you flat out, the figure is awesome. People are right. The Discord is right. Everyone who's talking about this figure, the figure itself is awesome. We have sweet swappable parts for the neck part. We have these badass helmets that are swappable. And it is swappable, so you can put some custom heads in there if you want to use this armor for other things. We have a literal fuck ton of hands. You guys know how important I value hands for expression and faces. So we have 3 helmets on a character where getting heads is harder. I think if I remember correctly, the original had 2. So being 3, that was an upgrade. And then we have a lot of hands. Accessory-wise, we have the sword. We have the Ghost Child, which is cool. I'll count him as an accessory, sort of, even though he's technically a person. But it's in that category of extra stuff that's included. And then, so everything here, I very much enjoy. I love it. The only beef I have with is this shitty-ass cape. Definitely can fuck off with that. I wish it was a cloth cape. You did it with the last one. Why isn't this one cloth? I guess it's because they wanted to have a way to hold up the little ghost child here. Forgive me for forgetting who this person is. The head comes off. That's funny. I don't remember. But anyways, that is my absolute opinion on Guts, the Armored version repaint edition here. And he's absolutely awesome. I can still recommend him. He's very expensive. Maybe the backlash a little bit on how he originally was shipped will help drive down the price just a little bit for some people. I was an early adopter, and because I saw the value in him as a character, but also the body swappable, because I love armored characters. It's the whole reason why I even buy Fate characters in the general. It's literally just because of the armor. But yeah, no, armored characters are sweet, and if you even remotely like armored characters for figures, even if you don't like Beserk or not into Beserk or anything, or in my situation, I can't even remember Beserk. I have to rewatch it. This is highly recommended. In terms of an actual action figure standpoint, I have only one beef. Like, even this is more tolerable than the cape, but we should be getting a replacement for the sword. So I can at least cover that. This is fixable though, because we can get, a cloth cape made, purchased, whatever, and it'll look awesome because that armor is banging. We have tons of hands. We have replaceable heads, like 3 heads, as well as the wrap around his neck. So this one gets a very high score for me. If I had to give it a number rating out of 10, this would definitely be an easy 9, just because they are addressing the sword. I would have given it lower if it wasn't for that, but the cape takes off a peg there. But is fixable. So out of the box, 9 out of 10. This is an absolutely banging figure. The articulation is understandable for what it is, due to the fact that he is an armored character. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and unboxing my opinions, discussion about the Guts Armored figure release, the repaint edition, and at least what's going around this figure's release, because it's interesting to talk about figures that have a little bit of a controversial types nature around them, due to the fact that there is the whole thing about bait and switch and whatnot from Good Smile Company. So regarding this character here, this is definitely not as bad as Ina. As if you know about Ina was bad. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Highly recommend picking up yourself a Guts Berserker repaint and the armored version. And I would say make sure you also follow up with getting your replacement sword, because apparently they're going to be making it badass. So until the next time you guys see me, remember to stay unorthodox. Take care, guys.